Welcome to Lesson 2. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at rhythm, and I'm going to show you how you can use the drum machine to program your own drum beat for your music. So let's get started. Before we do anything though, I'm also going to talk to you about the next 4 sessions. Because in the next 4 sessions, we're going to work together on a project that we do together in the classroom. And then after that, each week, I'll invite you to explore what we've just done on your own piece of work. But this one, we're going to call weekly, and it's only to be used in the next 4 lessons together. Please don't do anything on it outside of our time when we're working on it. Otherwise, the whole 4 lessons won't work as a whole thing. With that in mind, let's start by coming up to the top, and we can do this together. We're going to click in the top box and clear out the text and call it weekly. Press the Enter key. Now you can see again, I've got the numbers next to it because I've already got a few weeklies in my saves where I've been teaching this for many years. So you won't have the number 2 there, you'll just have the number. But now that we've done this, I'm going to come to File and I'm going to hit Save, and now we're ready to go. So in this lesson, we're going to look at a very famous drum beat that's very common in house music, and that is a beat called Boots and Cats. Now you've probably heard of it, or most of you will probably have heard of it. It goes like this: boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and. And this is really good because it helps us understand how to read these bars and how to understand the bounce of the rhythm in each bar. The first thing I want to do is show you tempo. Tempo is the name we give to how fast our piece of music plays. And we can set it here in the middle. If I click where it says 110 BPM here, you can see that I get this window open. Now, we have these things called time signatures, and these relate to how many of those beats we heard in our metronome happen per bar. So in 2/4, it would be 2 beeps. In 3/4, it would be 3 beats. And in 4/4, where we're working, it will be 4 beats. So between bar 1 and bar 2, we will hear a count of 4 quarter beats. Quarter because it's broken the bar up into 4 quarters. So the count of a 4/4 beat sounds something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hear that by putting our metronome on and pressing play. I'll press metronome on, press play, and now as I speed it up, you can hear the metronome is playing faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow it down. And the gaps between each of those beats slows down and takes longer to arrive. Let's stop that now because it does get a little bit annoying. I'll turn my metronome off and I'm going to click on the BPM again, and we're going to change it back to 110. Okay, so that is tempo, and that is how you speed your track up, and that also explains the bars and the counts within each bar that make up the bounce of our rhythm. And seeing as we said the magic word rhythm, it seems like a good time to load in a drum machine. So to do that, we're going to repeat what we did in the last session, click on New Track, and now we see at the top of the list, Drum. And you'll remember that once we click it, 2 things happen. We get a track put in for us to put our musical clips on, and we get our control panel at the bottom. Now we don't really need to do much with this control panel, but you could, if you like, click some of these grey rectangles at the bottom, and you can preview the sounds. You can also turn the volume of the sounds up or down. By volume I mean how loud it plays. So let's turn snare 2 down halfway. And we can hear it's quite quiet. Now if I push it to the top, it's louder. I'll just put it back where it was because these are all perfectly balanced for what we need to do. Over on the left here, we have presets of pre-made drum kits ready for you to use. So at the moment we're on the trap drum kit. If I click where it says trap, now you can see I have a list of other styles of music and some classic drum machines from the 1980s, the 808 and 909. Now, when you do your own drum beat after this lesson, I really encourage you to go through these different drum kits and see what sort of sounds are in there. Remember, you can load one in, and you can see now the controls have changed, and now I've got a whole different bank of sounds, and you can preview them, remember, on these rectangles. The kit we're going to use, though, is the house kit in the middle here. So I'll click on the house kit, and now we're ready to go. At this point, I'd like you to pause the video and just follow what I've done. You're going to load in the house drum kit and make sure that your project is saved as weekly. So let's go and do that now, and then come back to the video and we'll program our Boots and Cats drum beat. Welcome back. So now you should have loaded a drum kit, changed the kit to... So now you should have loaded a drum machine, changed the drum kit to the house drum kit, and also you should have saved your project as weekly. Excellent. Now then, let's get busy making the drum beat. This time, rather than recording, we're going to actually enter the notes manually, which means by hand, instead of playing them on our keyboard. So to do that, I'm going to come up to the track that's been made for my drum machine, and close as I can to beginning of bar 1, I'm just going to double click on the grid, and now you can see that it's put an orange clip in that's 1 bar long, and here below is a grid where I can put my drum notes on. So let's just take a look at that. When I press the play button, you'll notice that the green play meter moves across the clip and also across the grid. Let's just do that now. There we go. You saw it travel across the grid. So you can see that the view here outside and the view in here are synced up, and you know where you are by following that green play meter. So I'm going to click rewind, come back to the clip, and now we're going to put our notes in. And what I wanted to show you was that 4/4 beat system that we were counting just now, because we can see it written out here in our clip. We have our bar 1 to bar 2, and in there, looking on here, it says bar 1, we have our beat 1, our beat 2, our beat 3, our beat 4, and then the start of bar 2 here. I can also show you by dragging the play meter onto each of these grid lines, because remember we said these grid lines are counting that beat. So let's move across, and there you can see it's moved to number 2 on the grid. Move it again and it will take it to beat 3. One more time. Oh, went too far. It takes us to beat 4, and now to the end, and you can see just about over here on the screen the green line is now starting on bar 2. If I stretch this clip out, you can see there's bar 2 and the green line's on it. But I only want my clip to be 1 bar, so I'm going to shape that back. But you can see where I stretched it out, it's now left this big space, which has reduced how easily I can see the bit I want to work on. To clear that and make it the right size again, I can close the grid, and then to open it again, I just double click and it brings it back, and now you can see the grid is filling the whole 1 bar. Right, that's enough talking. It's time to get creative. So we are going to do this together. It's very easy. We're going to put 3 drum sounds in to make our boots and cats. So the first drum sound we're going to put in is the kick drum. Now you can choose kick 1 or kick 2, it doesn't matter. I think I'm going to use kick 2. And I'm going to start by finding the beginning of bar 1, coming down, and on the kick 2 line, going across here, we're going to put some notes. So 1, and then the next one lands on the 2. These all are going to count out that 4 beat for us. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Boo, 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 boo. Boots, 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 boots. That's how this is going to work. So let's find number 2 and come down. Let's find number 3 and come down. And then we find number 4 and come down. And now we have 4 kick drums put in place. And we know if we've got it right, because if we have, there should be 3 empty rectangles between each of our orange notes. Now, if you accidentally put a click in a place where you don't want the click, and it makes a note, you can quickly get rid of it by double-clicking, and it goes away. The other way you can do it is to just select it and press backspace, and they go away like that as well. Okay, let's have a listen to that. I'm going to press rewind and take it back to the beginning, and we'll press play. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boots, 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 boots. Like that. Right. Now, it would be helpful if I didn't have to keep pressing rewind. Now, the more eagle-eyed of you has probably spotted this button here, loop. Now, if we look here, we can see that we have this grey line here. This is actually our loop range. It shows us where we're going to loop around. And if I turn loop on, you'll see that it now goes green. This means that the loop is active. If I press rewind now and press play, it's just going to keep looping around. And that will go on all day if I let it, but we're not going to let it because we've got more important things to do, like putting in cats. So it's now time to put the cats in. Let's do this together as well. The cats are going to go on one of the snares. I'll let you choose which one you want, but I'll use snare 1 because it's next to kick 2, and that way it'll be easier for you to see where I'm putting them. So the snare, or the cats, are going to go on beat 2 and beat 4. So let's do that. I'm going to find beat 2, come down to the snare 1 here, click, and then come down on beat 4, and click. And so you should just have 2 snare sounds, one on beat number 2 and one on beat number 4. Let's hear what that sounds like. Actually, no, let's save it. Let's wait. Let's put in the cats. Now, the cats is going to go on the closed hi-hat sound here. Sounds like that. And this one is fun because it's got a little rhythm to help you know where to put it. First of all, I'm going to click on the first one, and then I'm going to miss one, put one, miss one, put one, miss one, put one, miss one, put one, all the way along, like that. And when you've done it, you should end up with 8 of these closed hi-hats. And that gives us our full boots and cats beat. Let's hear it. Let's press rewind. It's already back, but it's always good to do it to make sure. Press play. Boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats, boots, cats. Now, really, if this was going to be a house music track, the tempo is wrong, because tempo of house music is around the 124 BPM to 128 BPM. Well, sometimes 120 even. In fact, I think what we'll do is we'll go up to 120. So I'm going to click on BPM here and just plus it until I get to 120. There it is. Let's have a listen now. Yeah, That feels a bit better, doesn't it? More dancey, like you could move faster to that. The other one was a bit ploddy, bit sort of head bobbing, but not very dance music. So that is our Boots and Cats beat. That is the end of this lesson. And now what you need to do is press File in the corner and press Save, and make sure that when you do the next bit, you do it in a brand new save. And in that save, I'm going to show you how you can make your own drum beat. So make sure that you have saved weekly. And now we're going to create a new one. And we're ready to make our own drum beat. So I'm going to show you a good way to get started so that you have a drum beat that sounds like something a real drummer would play. Now, we don't always need to make a beat that sounds like something real, but in order for you to be able to make music like you hear being produced, you probably do want to try and learn how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'll show you how you can also have fun not following the rules at all. So first of all, we're going to press New Track and Drum. I'm going to choose a kit. I think I will choose dubstep. Let's see what's in dubstep. Yeah, there's some nice sounds in there. That's great. So I'm ready to make my beat. Remember, we double click on the grid here next to bar 1, and it makes our orange block. If it didn't land properly, if it landed like that, just drag it and move it over. You can see you've got your grid here. My loop is on, but yours might not be. So if this is grey, remember, turn it on. And that's going to keep us just working in this area so we don't have to keep pressing rewind whilst we're trying to get creative. So let's press play. And now we've got our play meter cycling across our loop and we're ready to go. Now, a good way to make sure you stay in time is to have something that's definitely in time. Now, you could use the metronome like we did earlier, but for me that sounds a little bit out of character with the other drum sounds and I find it distracting. So I'd rather make my own metronome. Now I could do that by doing what we did with our kick in the Boots and Cats, and putting one on every quarter beat. And now I have something in time. Or I could make that sound twice as fast, and like we did in the Boots and Cats beat, put the extra hats in. And that gives me a good swing. But actually, I think I'm going to undo those and go back because I want that slower feel. I slowed it down to feel slower, so I want to keep that slow feel. Now, a good drum sound to start with is the kick drum, because the kick is usually the bouncing part of the drum beat. So let's just put one on the first bar. Okay. Now, where might I want another one? Let's see. I'm hearing this sort of beat. Beat, bap, beat, beat, bap, beat, bap, like that. So I've got the first kick in, kick, snare, kick, kick. That's what I'm hearing. Kick, snare. Let's put that snare in. Kick, snare, kick, kick. Let's try another 2 kicks here. No, I like it, but it's not what I was singing. Take this one out. Boom, boom. There we go. Now this is very laid back, but it leaves a lot of space for us to put other things in. So this is what we call our foundation rhythm. And you can see once again, like the Boots and Cats, it's just made of 3 sounds. And the thing with rhythm is it's often about space. The old phrase of less is more is quite good when it comes to programming rhythms. That's not to say we shouldn't fill this up and we shouldn't go crazy, but it's often good just to make something that's got space in it and then start filling it as you go. Now I like this one just as a core beat, so I think I'm going to keep that one. And now I'm going to copy out and I'm going to click in the middle of my loop here and drag it over to the next one. And now you can see I'm seeing what happens on my second clip. Now I'm going to make a variation in this one. And so I know that this one is a variation, I'm going to change the color by right-clicking on the clip. And now I can choose different color for this clip. I'm going to choose blue, and now I know that this is my variation clip. So let's try some of these. No, not sure about those. Claps, quite nice with the snare. That could be good. Let's try putting this bass sound here and here. Let's put another one there. I like the space without it. We'll leave that empty for something else. Maybe we'll try a percussion. No, not there. That's it. Now that's in time. Did you see how you could feel that that first place was wrong? You may not be able to actually count rhythm, but you can feel it. You can feel that that one feels in time and this one feels wrong. Or does it? Because it could flick something in. It could flick something like a clap in. And that's made a whole different doom. Ba-ba-da. Let's put a little fast bit in my beat. Oh, this is just too much fun. I'm going to stop there because otherwise you won't have any time left to go for it yourself. But one last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to make one more copy of this, and I'm going to show you how you can just have fun. So let's move the play meter over to my next drum and press play. And I'm just going to take all of these out. And I just want to show you that you can literally have fun just making shapes. Let's make a weird shape here. And I don't know what this is. I don't know what any of these shapes are, but it doesn't matter. And let's make a letter. You could put letters in, couldn't you? Let's see what an L and an E sounds like. Oh, that's cool. Put some space. Maybe we'll write Lee in here. A strange shape and the name Lee. There we go. And you can hear that even though that's not a rhythm like we were trying to make before, it still does sound quite good. It's almost impossible to make a bad rhythm using this grid system. Anyway, I'm going to stop now because I've been talking for a long time and I want you to just get on and have some fun. So remember, it's really important that you do this on a brand new sequence, not weekly. Other than that, thank you for listening. Now go and have fun exploring rhythm and the drum machine in YuStudio.